What's up? What's up? Man, I know this is a little late. This is very late, but a couple people asked about it, so it's here if you want to see it. Just some, as you know, over the last couple months, I've been out of commission, webcam been busted, but I still had a little thoughts that, I just want to share, a little bit. So if you just want to hear some old retro things from your boy C Ruck, here we go. A lot of people were asking about the whole Anderson Silva debacle with Damian Maya at UFC 10 whatever. I kind of stopped. I just stopped keeping track of those. I kind of stopped keeping track of those. Um, there's not really much I could say that I haven't really already said. A lot of this has been covered in the Silva versus latest video. And the thing is, with me, I have no confidence, no faith, nothing for the UFC middleweight division. I don't think there's a suitable challenge there. I mean, I did think Vitor Belfort was the guy, but he got injured. And as far as I'm concerned, if they couldn't get the guy to do it, they should have threw him in a light heavyweight fight or whatever. Damian Maya, this guy just got his head knocked off by Nate Marquardt, then just had a real uninspired performance against Dan Miller. I mean, this how is this guy a worthy opponent? I mean, Dana White can bitch, moan, yell, scream, do all he wants, but the fact of the matter is this: if your champion is capable of dancing around his number one contender, and still win the fight, then it says you screwed up with the matchmaking just as he did with the entertainment. If you don't want to see Anderson Silva dance, put him in there against someone who belongs in there with him. Some guy I was debating with some guys over there telling me Damian Maya was the man. I knew that wasn't the truth. I mean, this guy is the greatest fighter in the world. And if you're going to, I mean, when you talk about challenging or something, it's like this. When you're challenging a champion, it's basically saying, you're not the best in the world, you're not the champion, I am. And the fight determines if that's true. Is Damian Maia the best fighter in the world? No. I mean, it's a good guy, good fighter. But there's good fighters. I mean, there's pretty good fighters. There's great fighters. And then there's the best in the world. And there's a huge gulf between that, especially at middleweight. I mean, I don't think there's a guy at middleweight who has a case for being the best fighter in the world. There's a guy at 170. There are guys at light heavyweight. There's, Fedor. He could be the best fighter in the world. But besides Anderson Silva, there's nobody else that's challenging this guy. Um, and that's what I want to see. Whether he would have knocked Damian Maia out in 2 minutes, or whether that fight would have went on forever like it did, it doesn't show. I'm Anderson Silva didn't really show any vulnerabilities, from Damian Maia that really stretched it out. It just shows that he just played around. I mean, it doesn't prove anything to me. It has no significance. So the fact of the matter is, I want to see this guy challenge. If you're going to throw him in the ring, throw him against someone who belongs in there with him, not just anybody you can find. I mean, there's not enough fights left in this guy's career, and there's just no point in this. I mean, that's basically most of what I had to say about him. I mean, look at fight. I mean, you got Shogun, new light heavyweight champion. I love to see him fight. Anderson Silva. I like. They were talking about like maybe Frank Mir versus Anderson Silva. I like to see how he do against heavyweights. What are you gonna throw at me? You're gonna throw Chael Sonnen at me? Now Chael Sonnen's a really good fighter, but the fact is he lost in his first fight back in the UFC to Damian Maia. He's a lesser fighter than the guy he beat. He's a lesser guy. He's a lesser fighter than the guy Silva just played around with. Now he has a really good matchup with the wrestling. I mean, but the fact of the matter is this. I won't even say this for a review. Can Chael Sonnen take Anderson Silva down and hold him there? Can he take him down? There's a really good chance he could do that. Yeah, he could take him down. Can he do that consistently and land some significant damage from the top? I'm not so sure about that. Can he do that? Can he finish Silva or do that effectively for 5 rounds without getting finished? Hell no. So why are you throwing me against guys that don't belong there? Why are you throwing me against lesser fighters? Clearly, I mean, I think as fans, we want to see who the best is. We know Anderson Silva is the best at middleweight. So let's find someone. Is he better than Vitor Belfort? I think so, but I'm not sure. I'd like to see that. I don't want to see Chael Sonnen. No offense to the guy, real good fighter, but not that guy. I mean, like I said, that's just things I think about. I think over the people talked about George St. Pierre. You know, people are like saying like accusing him of laying prey, of being too much of a wrestler, this, that, the other. Um, George St. Pierre, this guy has always been a ground fighter. I think when he knocked out Jay Heron or when he dominated Matt Hughes on the feet in their second fight, people got this notion that he's this striker, you know. But the dude's always been a takedown, jiu-jitsu guy. I mean, he's not doing anything he hasn't done in a while. And a lot of people are throwing out comparisons to John Fitch or Gray Maynard, this, that, the other. When I think a lot of what you're missing is in that fight against Dan Hardy, uh, George St. Pierre tried to rip his arms off. He tried to win that fight. He got him. He's passing guard. I mean, he's trying to get chokes. Trying to, I don't know if he tried to work a knee bar. I've seen him do that before, but I don't think he did that. But I mean, he's trying to win this fight. He's trying to finish the fight. And I think a lot of people are sitting up there, are attributing his inability to finish him with a lack of desire. Because he tried to rip Dan, my boy's arms off. I was screaming the thing, tap, Dan, tap. And another thing that you got to remark that I like about GSP, I mean, Dan Hardy came to the ring, he was ready or something, but another thing Dan Hardy had to face was that's just hard. You cannot beat an opponent the caliber of GSP when he comes to the ring with Notorious B.I.G. There's just with the juicy. Once he came out to that, I knew the fight was over. You kind of see Dan get tentative once he hit that. I mean, Dan Hardy's a good fighter, but when you're faced with that musical domination, just really couldn't. There's nothing you could do. And what else happened while I was away? We got Frank Mir. I've been thinking about him a little bit. This guy is funny. Some people just can't handle failure. Frank Mir is a guy that I just think can't handle success. I mean, when he loses, this dude digs deep inside himself, and becomes a better fighter. When he was messed up after that accident and got destroyed by Brandon Barry, he made sure he came back ready. Made sure he did what he had to do, to be a good, to be the fighter he was, to even become a better fighter than he ever was before the accident. I mean, he really put in the work to be who he was. And when he lost to Brock Lesnar, he put in dedicated himself, put on some weight, became a much better added some more power to his game. Even, over the years, he's become a much better striker. He's always been dangerous on the ground, but he's really just put it in. However, when he wins fights, this guy completely loses perspective on the kind of fighter he is and how he won the fight. Uh, Against Brock Lesnar, he figured if Brock takes him down, he can just submit him, and he can just beat him on the feet. There's no way Brock can win. However, he just completely lost perspective on that first fight. When Brock had him on the ground, Brock was spinning around him. As big as Brock Lesnar is, Frank Mir couldn't even find him. He didn't know what was going on up on top of him. And then he somehow gets this notion that he's a better grappler. I mean, he won that fight because Brock Lesnar gave him his legs, handed it to him. Brock Lesnar didn't see fit to do that. Frank Mir tried to roll an armbar early and just got destroyed twice. Had no clue what he was doing. And even after he beat Chet Congo, he thought he was this devastating striker, and he could, and his thing was he had to get this fight to the ground. I mean, and he over there used his, wrestling ability, used his strength to keep the fight on the ground against Shane Carwin. When got pressed against the fence, he thought he did a good job stuffing the takedown. Then all of a sudden he's eating uppercuts, and then all of a sudden he's waking up to find himself somewhere on a Saturday night. I mean, I think the guy's a great fighter, but he just needs perspective on his abilities. And who knows what he'll do next? Who knows where he'll be next? He says he really wants to fight that Anderson Silva. Who knows? We'll see. But Frank Mir, the dude, just needs to keep his head on his shoulders, stop thinking he's more than what he is, and just keep his nose to that grindstone. And I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he will someday fight Brock Lesnar. We'll have to see. In any case, that's just some random thoughts from your boy. I'll see you later.